our dues. We gon' win, they gon' lose. Way too nice, can't fill our shoes. We gon' win, they gon' lose. Oh, so hot, but stay so cool. We gon' win, they gon' lose. The violence crazy, the words is true. Yeah. We gon' win, they gon' lose.
We gon' win, they gon' lose. Well, Vorobiev wheeling in. Good poke check supplied there. And now Colin Forbes, who played briefly with Washington in the past, will dump it in and give Glenn Hanlon a chance for the line change. 45 seconds in, it's icing against the Caps, and here come the netminders.
Well, the youngster gets the nod. Adam Monroe, 23 years of age, 1-5-1, his first start this season, his first career win, and his only win against the Caps back in March of '04. Ole Kolzig has been stellar on home ice. That's why his save percentage continues to rise.
Mikhail Yakubov won the draw for Chicago. Ole Kolzig challenging there on a deflected shot. There's Yakubov again, and the former first rounder testing Kolzig in the game's first minute.
That's a real good save by Ole Kolzig on Yakubov. Did a nice job circling the wagon. Colin Forbes was acquired in late December by George McPhee for Stephen Peet. Stephen Peet recently was a healthy scratch at the American League. He knows the Caps. He's played 45 games here before. And he has some talent because he's played over 300 games in the National Hockey League.
And the well-traveled Forbes comes to the Caps from Carolina. So Steve Peet takes up residency in the American Hockey League down in Lowell. As we move into the second minute of a scoreless first period on Comcast Sportsnet, Martin Lapointe, head high. And Ole Kolzig was ducking for cover. Ryan Wilsey got a step on the defender. He beats Spacek, goes to the forehand and put it off the outside. Monroe went to the splits there to help deny.
And had the goaltender beat, did Wilsey. Just couldn't get it past that left toe. I thought he had the wide open net there when he beat Monroe. Actually shot that a little bit wide. Great foot speed by Wilsey. That's been one of the problems for the Blackhawks. Their defense. They've struggled mightily with the speed of the opposition.
Two teams very similar in stature, Craig. We'll talk about it throughout the night as Matt Bradley will send it in. Good to see Matt back out on the ice after getting involved in that altercation with Florida's Steve Montador. The Blackhawks will clear it in, and this one actually leaves the rink out of play off the blade of Mark Bell for the stoppage.
Well, Martin Lapointe, acquired in the offseason, wanted to bring leadership. Here he's headhunting early on. He's got 5 goals the last 11. There you see Spacek. The puck gets past him. Here goes Wilsey off to the races. There's that move. Excellent deke to his forehand. Monroe stood with him and stuck with the move, Joe. Wilsey looking to get the Caps on the board early.
I realize that a penalty shot shootout is different than a breakaway, but do you think, with all of the shootouts and all the practices and one-on-one moves, that guys are getting better at their breakaways in the game?
No, I think it's totally different. Yeah, you just feel the heat. He doesn't really feel Spacek. He feels him from behind. He's got to speed up his thought process. I think it's totally different than the penalty shot where you can slow it down.
In the shootout, it's just clean and green. You know it's just you and the goaltender.
Exactly.
Eminger for Washington will channel it ahead. Rolled softly to Kolzig. He'll cover it up. And that lets us spell out our vhix.com keys to the game tonight.
And when we look at the Chicago Blackhawks, they need a red light renewal. They need goals. They've averaged just 1.7 in their 10-game skid. Train of thought, they've got to be on the same track. All 20 players playing tonight. For their coach, for the Caps, start to finish, they have to put 60 minutes together. If they get up 1-0, they've got to make it 2 and 3. Sin bin barrage. Hanlon knows this Hawks team is the most penalized team in the NHL. They're going to have to take advantage of the power play to get 2 points tonight.
Trouble is, Chicago gets a lot of practice penalty killing, and they're good at it. Adrian Aucoin will just plop it back into the Washington zone. That's where Nolan Yonkman will work, along with Sean Morrison. Yonkman's outlet pass off the boot of Brian Sotheby. And once again, the Hawks will give chase. Kyle Calder drifting after Sean Morrison. He hooked him. And the Blackhawks are going to be penalty killing very early in this contest as we hear the whistle.
Well, here's the penalty box in the sin bin barrage. You don't want to take an offensive zone penalty. But Calder does, and Hanlon's team goes to an early power play. This is a Hawks team with new coach Trent Yanni that takes a ton of penalties. A lot of stick violations for them. There's the trip or the hook from behind. That sends Calder off. The Caps go looking for their lead tonight.
Kyle Calder for hooking at 3-11. Mark that down in your scorecard, and then take a look at Dainis Zubris and his 5-game point scoring streak. Out there to take this draw for Washington as the Caps put their power play on ice this season, just a little less than 14% effective. Zubris and Wilsey and Ovechkin out there on top. The black-sweatered Blackhawks will trickle it back onto the Washington side. That's where Rene Bourque will put some pressure on, working in tandem there along with the newcomer to the Chicago lineup, Patrick Sharp, played to the Philadelphia Flyers. And as Sharp threw the timing of the play off, it turns out to be an offside against Washington.
Sharp has struggled really in his new surroundings. Known more as a gunner with fleet-of-foot speed up the flank, has struggled. I didn't think he saw that trade coming. He was a fixture with the Flyers. You see his current numbers, most of them with the Flyers early on this season.
Philadelphia got Matt Ellison in return. Washington in the white sweaters this evening here at home on ice on the power play for another 90 seconds. Brian Wilsey, that good scoring opportunity in the game's first couple of minutes, and it would be good to get Brian back on the board. Just 1 goal in his last dozen games. It was the game tire against Philadelphia in what turned out to be an eventual Washington win. Muir puts it back for Zubris, gaining ground now. Dainis Zubris shakes it to the wing. Wilsey back for Zubris, and right on through past Monroe. Alexander Ovechkin leads all rookies with 12 power play goals. That was stopped. Follow-up chance from Zubris was also denied.
And they got away with a hooking call as Ovechkin went hard to the net, was upended. Monroe looking very sharp between the pipes. That's exactly what the doctor ordered for Trent Yanni and the Hawks here tonight.
He's Craig Laughlin. I'm Joe Beninati. We're joined at rinkside by Al Koken in this one. Washington persists on the power play another 30 seconds, and Monroe has made 5 stops in the game's first 5 minutes.
And that's what they weren't getting from Anderson. Even Anderson, their backup to a man, has said he's been outplayed in his last 5 games in which he's taken 5 straight losses. And just too much pressure against these young netminders. Here's Ovechkin going to the net. There's the upending one that I thought should have been a minor penalty. And then Brook Light throws it wide, drives for the rebound, Joe. Nice job by Monroe covering up that loose biscuit in front.
A pass to the slot that was steved by Rene Bourque, and Bourque will send it all the way down. The former University of Wisconsin product. Thought it was interesting in chatting with Trent Yanni before the game tonight. He was talking about the backup netminder who he's been giving a lot of starts to, Craig Anderson, putting too much pressure on himself.
Tightly wound.
With Nikolai Khabibulin just getting back onto the ice, Khabibulin's really no closer to the Blackhawks crease. With his most recent injury,
he's been a bust also, though. Joe has not put up glowing numbers for $27 million over 4 years. His save percentage right around 88%.
You're such a beauty. He's a bust. Slap shot, knockdown, called.
Yeah, he should have stayed in Tampa Bay and they wouldn't have all those problems there this year.
The word was he admits that he has been struggling. He's a bust in Locker's eyes. Yep, 5.5 minutes in, Khabibulin's a bust.
They don't get our telecast.
Oh, God. Back they come with Calder. Lets it go, and Kolzig got that with a pad. Yakubov puts it back into the corner, and there is Nolan Yachman. He'll switch it up for Sean Morrison. The Blackhawks, the 3rd best penalty-killing squad in the league, and they're 1-for-1 to start things. Around the turnstile it comes. Mark Bell playing clear. And looking out on the wing for the veteran Martin Lapointe, now in his 14th season as a pro.
Great addition by Dale Talon, the general manager of this Hawks team. He plays hard. He's the type of image you want in a hockey team. He works the trenches, and he scored some big goals for this Hawks team this year.
I was stunned looking at their roster coming out of camp. 21 different players. A spot check hums one right on. Kolzig able to fight that away. 21 different guys on their roster to break camp.
I don't think some of their young guys has progressed as well as they thought they were. 03-04 they thought was going to be a coming out year and a chance for some of the young guys to get experience. They haven't taken the second step.
Vandermeer's one-timer was knocked down. Chicago's leading goal-getters out there, 28 in the black. That's 25-year-old Mark Bell. As the Caps will clear it, chasing Spacek into his own zone. Yaroslav Spacek, over 450 NHL games on his resume. One of the vets on the blue line for the Blackhawks. Sharp slapper. Ooh, Kolzig reacted late, but well he did to keep that one away. Also with a dangerous Vorobiev nearby. We're just getting started. Scoreless in D.C.
At Geico.com, you can handle all your car insurance needs online. It's so easy, a caveman could do it.
Seriously, we apologize. We had no idea you guys were still around.
Yeah, next time maybe do a little research.
Gentlemen, are we ready to order?
I'll have the roast duck with the mango salsa. I don't have much of an appetite, thank you.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Then Comcast Sportsnet, the Capitals in high definition. So Ovechkin fires, he scores! Comcast Sportsnet gets you closer to the Caps.
Oh, tremendous stop by Colton.
Plus, the action continues after the games on Capitals Post Game Live. And your Caps coverage never ends on Sportsnet.
Ovechkin from Halford.
More games, more news, more passion.
The NHL is indeed back in Washington.
Nobody does hockey better. Comcast Sportsnet.
Washington, D.C. Politics and power rule the day. But at night, talent and teamwork reign supreme. And there's one who stands above the rest. Alexander the Great. The future is now. One man does it all. Alexander Ovechkin, taking the NHL by storm. You have to see it to believe it. Alexander the Great and the Capitals on Comcast Sportsnet. Nobody does hockey better.
The screen, Patrick Sharp looking for his first Chicago Blackhawk goal. Watch it rip off the left foot of Heward. Vorobiev looking for the follow-up. That baby changed direction. A toughie for Ole here in the first.
As Brooks Laich kicks it back away, Washington maneuvers in one-on-one with Brian Wilsey, turning on Adrian Aucoin. A centering feed, deflection, great stop, follow-up chance, and another defensive gem turned in. Chris Clark thought he had that one on the board. To the front again, like with a backhander. Stonewalled by Monroe.
It's tough to do anything with a breakaway in the paint.
It's just right on you,
He
right
was
away.
wide open there.
Heavy hitting there. A coin rocked Laich. The pass for Clark gets away. Whoops. As the cap defender there, Brian Muir, stepped on the banana peel. Down he went.
That was my blow dart. I hit both of them. One hawk and one cap.
Both teams going to the line change. Smoothly away comes Cullimore. Down the flank, turning in quickly, it's Michael Holmquist. A centering pass, they score! Bang, bang, Barnaby.
Bang, bang for Bam Bam. Barnaby sneaking down that left flank. The puck came right across to him, and he made no mistake. Barnaby gives this Hawks team a 1-0 lead with his 5th goal of the season. High fives all around. Check out this play. Nice rewind by the Blackhawks. Good speed going wide on Witt. Nice little pull to the middle. Looked like a little bit like Eric Daze there. That was a nifty play going wide on the defender. And it's a nifty play. And the Caps find themselves down by a goal. Bam Bam Barnaby on the doorstep.
Andy Hilbert helped it. Holmquist really did the yeoman's work with the setup, but it was Hilbert who was distracting the defender, and Barnaby was all by his lonesome for the put-away into the empty cage. Just the 3rd time that Barnaby has scored against Washington in 13 seasons as a pro.
Why has Holmquist been out of the lineup? That was a nice little curl and drag. And I mentioned Daze because he looks like Daze. He has tremendous size. He picked up speed in the neutral. Forced back Witt. A real nice play all around.
NHL hockey fans know that Eric Daze has been plagued by back injuries for years. And this most recent setback for him has kept him off the ice practically the entire season.
Yeah, wasn't it the first or second game that he got hurt again?
Yeah, you just cross your fingers that it's not the end of the line for a player as gifted as Daze. When he is healthy, he is some kind of talent. But he's just not been able to be on the ice because of his back. A lead for Bradley that comes on down and through, and it could be icing against Washington. It is, as the captain, Aucoin, makes the touch-up.
Adrian Aucoin is their captain. He was honored with that role at the start of the season when he was signed to a new deal. Here you'll look at that last play. There's the speed in the neutral zone, as I talked about. Look at this little sifting past Witt. That puck, he meant to shoot it, but it worked out perfectly. Came right across to Barnaby. The importance of going to the net. There's Bam Bam saying, yeah, I just sort of shoveled it into the wide open net. That's how you do it.
I'm just doing what I do.
Yeah, that's it.
Nolan Yonkman looking to play it out. Brian Sotheby takes charge. Places it back behind Adam Monroe. The netminder for Chicago has been very solid in the first half of this period. He's made a total of 8 saves, and several of them have been of the spectacular variety. Bradley chugging back through neutral. Washington will play dump and chase. Sotheby against Spacek. Spacek angles him to the glass.
Nice to see Matt Bradley back in the lineup. Remember, only a couple of shifts. A hard bout with Monador. It's great to see him back on the ice.
Saw him last night, Locker, at Caps University. He said he was fine. Said he felt good, and I got the impression he was going to play, and he's in Glenn Hanlon's lineup.
He's good? Did he listen to you?
No.
Okay, then he's fine.
He left early.
Then he's fine.
He didn't need any education on the game. This one's pulled right to Monroe. He'll squeeze. It is 1-0 for the Blackhawks. They've lost their last 10, but they've got the jump on the lead tonight, thanks to Matthew Barnaby.
Toyota is reinventing what and how you drive. The 06 Toyotas have arrived at your Toyota dealer.
Every Toyota car has a model that's EPA estimated over 30 miles per gallon highway, like Camry, that starts under $20,000. Now get $1,000 cash back from Toyota on Camrys and 4Runners, or get low 2.9% APR financing on 4Runners, or choose a fuel-efficient Corolla and get $500 cash back. Technology for today and tomorrow. Toyota, moving forward.
You know, ever since Stag Chili, the chili lovers love, became the official chili of Madison Square Garden, it's really taken off.
We see protection. We see security. We see confidence. We see peace of mind. We've made our software more secure, and we're always working to keep it that way. Find out more.
Make the connection. Log on to ComcastSportsNet.com. More than just scores and schedules, now with video, highlights, interviews, and exclusive features. The local sports world on your desktop. On air, online, all the time. ComcastSportsNet.com.
Splendid in stripes, a familiar face on the Chicago bench. Assistant coach Butch Cassidy, the former Washington Capitals mentor.
And he's done a nice job in Chicago. Notice the guys behind the bench all have some Chicago Blackhawk background. Savard, Trent, Yanni. He said he had to learn how to be an assistant coach, and he learned that last year down in Norfolk in the American League, working with Yanni as of last December.
And Trent went on to say, the head coach, about Butch, that he knows the young players very well, so he can give them a proper sort of guidance point on what to expect as the youngsters mature and go right along.
And Trent backpedaled a little bit when we started talking about the power play. Well, that's sort of Butch's. Actually, we all work as a group.
Oh, Ovechkin comes flying in there on the forecheck, working with Andrew Castles and Boyd Gordon tonight. Castles getting back into the lineup. He's been a healthy scratch of late. Yakubov lost it to Heward. They tried to funnel that one for Ovechkin with the young defender Duncan Keith nearby. Monroe tees it up for Adrian Aucoin. This guy got hurt right at the outset of the year, and they counted on him so heavily to secure a lot of the minutes on the blue line for Chicago.
He's always been the so-called minute man. Anytime you blow a groin, you're that type of skater, you're in trouble.
Vandermeer floats one to the front. That was fenced out of there by Morrison. Not cleared yet. Pavel Vorobiev. In the first month of the season, it was Vorobiev and Ovechkin near the top of the point scoring list for NHL rookies. Vorobiev has just tailed off a little bit. And so much so that he was actually reassigned to the American Hockey League within the last week. Called back up. That necessitated by some injuries. I want Vorobiev to be a little bit more forceful, to go and get the puck instead of waiting for someone to get it to him. There he takes his own shot, and Kolzig will arm it away. Little over 8 minutes separating us from our Pulte Homes intermission report on Comcast Sportsnet. It's 1-0 Chicago. Matthew Barnaby is on the board.
Maybe that's a good thing, because remember the stat that we showed at the top of the show about the Caps scoring first? Maybe it's better that the white-clad Caps play from behind here tonight.
We shall see. Holmquist deking away from a defender. Puts it out there wide for Barnaby. It comes back across rink. And that shot was blocked by a sprawling Chris Clark. Off the rink as we say good evening to Al Koken.
Joe, thanks very much. You have to say this is a pretty good day, at least so far, for Colin Forbes. Called back to the National Hockey League by the Washington Capitals, who reacquired his rights, and also out there on the Caps' #1 line with Dinah Zubrus and Alex Ovechkin. Let's be honest, that's been a pretty open audition. We've seen Brian Willsey there, we've seen Pettinger there, we've seen Chris Clark there, a number of people. It's an open job right now. Colin Forbes is the man auditioning for it. We'll see how that develops the rest of the game.
Thank you, Al. Keep your eyes peeled. You won't see Matt Pettinger out there tonight, scratched along with the Caps captain Jeff Halpern, and of course Jeff Friesen out of the lineup. Washington hopeful to get all three back during this coming road swing. After tonight, Washington goes west. They'll see Dallas, Anaheim, and Phoenix before heading back home. Bell maneuvering in. Skids to a stop. Tries to find Radim Verbata. That didn't connect. Moving down the wing comes Willsey. He's all by himself as Washington's in the midst of a line change. Shots on goal, 10 apiece in this first period. As we hear the whistle for the stoppage.
Well, the game of hockey in the National Hockey League is all about flow. Here you'll see a nice isolation of Brooks Light. Grabs a new twig, drives the net, gets a great scoring chance. However, that scoring chance now leads to a regroup. Holmquist to the net. Not picked up as Matthew Bam Bam Barnaby. So at one end, a missed opportunity leads to Barnaby's 5th of the year, leads to his club having a 1-0 lead in the first.
A potential plus at one end turns into a minus. Penalty against Chicago. That's Adrian Aucoin in the penalty box. The Capitals get their second.
I thought I missed the transaction today.
No. Aucoin, not Cairns. Zubrus for Ovechkin. Pinched along the wall. And played out of there by Patrick Sharp as he was working in tandem with defender Jim Vandermeer. Capitals will make a break for it. Ovechkin stood up strongly by Vandermeer, who loves to throw his weight around. Duncan Keith trickles it, and Holmquist will boom it all the way back.
Well, all the Vandermeer brothers always play that style. They're from out west. They've always racked up a ton of penalty minutes. He's a good player on defense now for the Chicago Blackhawks. He's really one of the probably cornerstones back there, one of the young guys that they're going to use for many years.
Second power play for Washington. Vandermeer hails from Alberta, Canada. Ryan Muir strolling with it. Spot check. Taking that long blast, and it was routine for Ole Kolzig. With 5:40 to go in the opening stands on Comcast Sportsnet. 1-0 for visiting Chicago. Blackhawks in the midst of the longest losing streak for them since the early 1950s. Castles. Shaded by spot check. He connects with Light. Twisting and turning once more. Castles to the point. Ewart fires. That struck traffic in front. Never got through to Monroe.
Magnuson and Bill White doing a great job on the blue line, Joe.
Not quite.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was back in the future, or back in the tense, right?
The past tense,
there
Lager.
You go.
I mean,
I didn't know where I was there for a second.
You scared me. You scared me. Where's the Gumper? As it's put off the rink. Where's Tony O? Break time for us. 4:50 to go in the opening period. The men in white down 1.
You're unique. You rise early to run, and you run to feel alive. You are also not alone. You need a finish line to remind you that your obsession can be shared. Now, there's a destination, the National Marathon. Make history where history is made on the 26.2 miles that run through our nation's capital and Prince George's County, Maryland. Register at nationalmarathon.com or call 1-866-RUN-0262.
We're building something together, something special, something to see, a home to love forever.
At Pulte Homes, we work with home buyers to ensure you're satisfied with the entire home building experience. We pledge to make you so delighted that every time you think of purchasing a new home, you think Pulte Homes.
That's the way it should be.
Pulte Homes, the way it should be.
The
Redskins are moving on. Next is the divisional showdown with Seattle. And Comcast Sportsnet has it covered this week at 6:30, 10 and 1 a.m. in Sports Night. Live in Seattle with the latest on the team. Saturday at 4 is Pregame Live. The preview show with inside access. And after the game, watch Redskins postgame live. Analysis, reaction, and more. Total Redskins coverage. Sports Night, Pregame Live, postgame live. Nobody covers the Redskins better. Only on Comcast Sportsnet.
Folks, Canon Business Solutions, Canon USA company providing best-in-class document management solutions. Washington's source for document management is Canon. Martin Lapointe will take this draw against Dinas Zubris and win it for Chicago. A Matthew Barnaby goal at the 8-minute mark. The only tally on the big board. It's 1-0 for the Hawks. Lapointe shakes it out there wide, gets it back for a quick wrister. No worries for Kolzig. Colin Forbes gets it into gear and dumps it on down. Monroe heaves it along the dasher. Duncan Keith, lightning quick. A reputation for that smooth skating defender.
Yeah, he's played really well. Talking to Trent Yanni, he's a guy that's been put in every situation. He's a guy that's really going to mature playing this season for the Chicago Blackhawks. He's another guy that's built like a coin in Chelios. He can skate forever. In fact, he could probably play the whole 60 minutes.
6 foot, 190 out of Winnipeg, Duncan Keith, working in back right now with Adrian Aucoin. It's a level playing field, 5-on-5. Tyler Arneson leads the team in total points. Been a little up and down this year, inconsistent. Hawks fans are always wanting more from him. Ben Clymer. That was Bradley spinning away from a hit. Anton Babchuk came for him, and there's a penalty call now, as once again the officials get into the act. Locker just a little bit after lunchtime today. The Washington Capitals seeing another pleasant sight. Number 12 getting back on the ice.
Yeah, Jeff Friesen coming back after that surgery, the abdominal surgery and groin problem. So let's look forward to seeing him this week in the Caps' 3-game road trip out west. Friesen's played 14 games for the Caps, has just 1 goal. There's really a solid line out there with Pettinger, Friesen, and Helper.
Matching minors here have been delivered. A hook and a dive will bring us 4-on-4 hockey. Dinas Zubris ready to draw with Sharp. Back to point position, it's Muir. Now Eminger lets it go. Monroe with a save. And a nice job to bat the rebound into the corner. Tyler Arneson gets the gate for hooking. Clymer for the dive. Stuff attempt shut off there. Kolzig was waiting at the post for Patrick Sharp. End to end we go. Dinas Zubris working to the inside and staying with him well defensively was spot check. 3 minutes to go in this opening period. 1-0 for Chicago. They lead in shots, 14-11. Eminger worms his way around Vandermeer. Taken back by the Blackhawks, Kyle Calder. Ovechkin lurking there. And we've got another penalty call coming here, and it's going to be another hook.
Yeah, it's going to go against the Blackhawks, and they're getting it from the bench, the Chicago bench. This is a Blackhawk team that has been nailed with 4-on-3s and 5-on-3s this season. Well, now the Caps have a great opportunity with a 4-on-3 opportunity. So the Caps with Calder in the box. He takes the hook, the second one he's taken in this game. One early on in the offensive zone, now in the defensive zone. 4-on-3. The Caps a great opportunity. Here you'll see the hook on Ovechkin by number 19 of the Hawks.
It got so bad for Chicago earlier in the season as Washington works to its 3rd power play that they actually asked for senior VP and officiating director Steve Walcom to come to town to explain the new rules. Biron, Muir to the front for a deflection, and Monroe is ready there as Zubris was set up well.
They must have slept through that presentation.
The most penalized team in the league, as we are 4-on-3 for the next 40 seconds. Alexander Ovechkin drags it around for Matthew Biron, the hard-shooting blue liner. Biron playing catch with Muir. Biron now with assists in 2 of his last 3 outings. Muir waits. Works it around the Blackhawk triangle defense. Ovechkin given a shove by a coin. Muir walking in. Biron lets it fly, and it's squeezed by Monroe.
Not really the shot you want to take on a Sharpie of an angle against Monroe. Biron, only option he had was to fire it on the net. Caps with the puck movement, trying to throw it through the seams. Well defended by the Hawks. Good work by Adrian Aucoin. Look at the quick rotation by the three guys. They work two up top, one down low. There's the shot, but notice nobody in front. Zubris was looking for the rebound. Monroe's done a real good job in this period covering up his rebounds.
Graphic indicates a season best streak for Washington coming into play tonight. Late in the first period, a chance for the Caps to equalize. 4-on-3 for another 4 seconds. Biron for Heward. Heward a slap pass to Wilsey, and his redirect went wide. Clymer gets out of there. It's a 5-on-4 now for Washington. Forbes funnels it back behind the goal. Like is mauled by Spacek. Vandermeer swivels away and has some room. Jim Vandermeer plays it ahead, and it'll be tapped on down for Chicago by Mark Bell.
Man, there's going to be a lot of wall work in this game. If you're not bruised after these two teams play, you're never going to get bruised. These two teams are carbon copies of each other than Ovechkin for the Caps. He's been the big difference and could be the difference in this game, Joe.
You read the newspaper clippings, Craig, and they say all the same things. We work so hard, we deserve more, we're disappointed. Both of these teams come in with 13 wins. The Caps' most recent power play went awry with 3 shots more on Monroe, bringing us dead even at 14 in that department. Bradley with a bid that was blocked, and Bell will carry it from harm. Shaken ahead. Calder took a stumble. 30 seconds with which to work in the first. Washington in the white here at MCI Center, finishing up the 6-game homestand, the longest of the season for the Caps. After tonight, Chicago goes home for 5 straight.
Well, with 5 straight games at home, they couldn't get their jerseys clean.
Maybe that's it. The penalty call coming late in the period.
And it may be Bradley or their captain, Aucoin, one of those two guys involved. I thought it was Bradley that might have got his hand caught up with Aucoin's stick. We're going to have to see who goes to the box. It looks like the Caps are going to be nailed with a holding penalty, and it's holding the stick as I expected, but it's not Bradley. It's going to be Clymer that heads off for Hanlon's bunch. They were involved down low. Aucoin, stick is grabbed. Here it is behind the net. Watch it come around. There's the play in front. There's the flip of the puck. Watch what happens when they both go to recover it. Notice the left hand right there, just for a fraction of a second, detected Clymer in the box.
Referee Stéphane Auger saw that all the way. 5 seconds to go in the period. A long blast from center, sizzled wide. Captured by Clark, and the horn sounds. We are done. High rollers.
Here's the injury to Umal Ruutu,
yes.
Right? The ankle injury. If this guy had any luck at all, Joe, he'd have no luck. He's had knee surgery, shoulder surgery, now a severed right tendon. Arguably the best Blackhawk forward, 03-04. This is a guy that had, I think, 23 goals and over 40 points. He's sorely missed with this team starving for goals.
He's not the only one. Tuomo Ruutu out of the lineup with that ankle injury. He just had surgery on the ankle tendon and is expected to be lost for upwards of 3 months. The initial diagnosis. As it's blasted all the way down, we start this second period with the Blackhawks skating 5-on-4. Washington shorthanded. Trickle over to a minor penalty with Ben Clymer in the box for Washington.
And this power play for the Hawks has been powerless during their 10-game slide, just 7.7%. Not very good.
Verbata. Chased there by Wilsey. Back to point position. Spacek back for Verbata. One time he scores. It's 2-0 Chicago.
Why did I say that? All of a sudden they're at about 8.5%. Slap shot beats Ole Kolzig. A wonderful setup in front. Radim Verbata pounds one home. This is a guy gets his 3rd goal of the season. First way back in October. They got him from the Canes. Here's the play, right side of the screen, slap shot. Look at in front. That's Calder. Jeff Halpern, Dinas Zubris, all teams in the NHL now set up a guy in front. Calder through the legs and then past Ole Kolzig's left arm. Verbata has given the Hawks a 2-0 lead.
Against Ole Kolzig and friends, and Yaroslav Spacek leads this Blackhawk team in power play assists. He'll add to his total in the first minute of the second period. Verbata back on the board, and just looking at some of the statistical tables around the NHL, Verbata is in the top 5 in terms of shots on goal in the month of January, so he has been cranking it up, and here tonight with some success.
And really wasn't getting the opportunity in Carolina. That's why they dealt him here in December, to get him more ice time. He was craving it, wasn't getting in their lineup because Laviolette's team just firing along. Seems like they're collecting points every night they play.
Chicago, the third team with which he's worked. He touched on some time in Carolina. He had never scored against Ole Kolzig until that blast, which gives the road-running Blackhawks a 2-0 advantage. Barnaby on the clear down. Hustling after it. Moving there is Mikhail Yakubov. A centering pass that was eaten up by Matt Bradley, and he'll scurry back. A long blast handled by Adam Monroe, who gets the start. Craig Anderson backing him up. Nikolai Habibulin still on the shelf for the Blackhawks with the groin injury.
And I was just making that point about Verbata playing for Carolina and not getting ice time, and those guys collecting points. Well, in the first, 3-0 Canes over Detroit.
To the back wall, Chicago in the black sweaters. Barnaby tried to just layer that one through Muir. Nothing doing. Pavel Vorobiev on the forecheck. Washington here at home in the white. Finishing up the 6-game homestand, the longest of the season for the Capitals. And technically, they've dropped their last 4 decisions inside this barn, as that's an offside call against Brian Muir.
Muir trying to step up and hold the line. Not much happening for the white-clad Washington Capitals. Muir, a wonderful pass last game against Florida to Dinas Zubris. He's an offensively creative defenseman. We looked at a graphic earlier on in the night about the defensemen clicking in. Through the first 40 games, Joe, they've averaged about 2 points a game. Muir and Heward in particular, along with Eminger, who's focused more on defense lately, have to continue to join the rush. Now that they're down 2-0, overlaps, getting involved, closing the gap offensively will also help the Caps get back in this game.
And you'd imagine that Glenn Hanlon would agree with that and encourage that as this game progresses. With his team in a 2-goal hole and plenty of time left in regulation. Keith with a long blast. Kolzig through the traffic. Oh, look at this. It ricochets off of Heward, and it counts. It's 3-love.
And there you see some luck for the Chicago Blackhawks and an unlucky play for Ole Kolzig. Trent Yanni, Savvy Savard behind the bench, all smiles. Ole might have thought this was offside.
Spacek doesn't need very much help. He's a good offensive defenseman.
There's
Look
the
at
shot.
this.
Maybe Ole looking for a little interference, and there's the puck ricocheting off of Heward, as you mentioned, Joe. Ole not too happy. Looked like he was cleaned out in front. One more look. Here comes a shot. Spacek. There comes Bell and Witt through the seam. It hit his left pad and then bounced right off of Jamie Heward. And Ole Kolzig, not a happy camper. His club down 3-0 on that lucky goal by the Hawks.
It'll be credited to Yaroslav Spacek. Spacek leads the Blackhawk D in goals, assists, and points. A stuff attempt at the near post. The Blackhawks have lost 10 straight, and they are dominating on the scoreboard so far tonight. Vandermeer keeping it on the outside. Ovechkin calls on him.
And Jamie, that's not how I wanted you to be involved offensively.
Not quite. Vorobiev's wrister didn't get through the maze in front. And Brian Muir will play it ahead. Andrew Castles will scale in. Boyd Gordon gives chase. Spacek's the first man to it. Working in tandem with Vandermeer. Patrick Sharp for the Hawks. On a lead intended for Bork that was snared. Chicago playing without Curtis Brown tonight as Sharp wheels back. Sent that one right on through. End to end, channeling along, it's Ben Clymer. Clymer knocked down through center. The officials say play on. Referees tonight, Dan O'Rourke and Stefan Auger. The Tuesday night crowd here at MCI Center somewhat startled, seeing Chicago come in the throes of this long losing skid. and propelling themselves to a quick 3-0 advantage.
Well, they were closing in on their longest of the history of the Hawks, Joe. Back in 50-51, they had went 12 games without a victory.
Still plenty of time for Washington, obviously, as we're just really in the initial stages of the second period. But goals from Barnaby and Vrbata and Spacek have spoiled things, spoiled the mood inside of MCI Center.
And remember how Yanni told us before the game, Joe, that they've had some leads, 2-0, 3-0, and they've seen them dissolve. Because it's a young, fragile team. The Caps get one, and all of a sudden, the whole complexion can change.
Of course, some of the other quotes in the newspapers: we deserve better than this 10-game losing skid. Their work ethic, some of the bad and unfortunate breaks that have gone against them. Tonight, so far so good if you're a Chicago fan. Penalty call now. Another hold. Al Koken, what say you?
Well, Joe, Glenn Hanlon hasn't wasted any time. As soon as his team fell behind 3-0, we saw him get some extra ice time for Alex Ovechkin, put Ovechkin out there with Castles and Gordon, ostensibly the fourth line. Also had Steve Eminger skating, at least on that shift, with that fourth line with Sean Morrison. So obviously still thinking he can play catch-up. You guys just documented how many times the Blackhawks have blown leads of 2-0 and 3-0, and you're going to need guys like Alex Ovechkin with extra ice time if you're going to slice into it. Back up to you.
And there's a look at the penalty taker, Muir in the box. He lost his twig, had to grapple with a Hawk because his stick broke in the box for holding.
Spacek back to the point. Bell whiffed on the one-timer, and Brendan Witt will rumble out of there and clear. Al Koken talking about Alexander Ovechkin, and to this point, Locker, Ovechkin really hasn't made much of a impression on the Blackhawks. He hasn't carried the puck very much in the first 26 minutes. Here's a takeaway and a 2-on-1 chance shorthanded. Clark and Wilsey with a little give and go.
A little bit of too much overpassing there, Joe. And getting back to Ovechkin, Ovechkin's at his best when the puck is following him around. It hasn't been following him around. Hasn't got the puck in full flight. They've nullified him by stepping up with their veteran D, taking away the space that Ovechkin likes to operate in.
Blackhawks working on a power play. It's Kyle Calder with it. A centering pass that was answered by Dinas Zubas. Muir has another minute to serve in the penalty box. Washington is down 3 here at home. Bell swats it around the turnstile. Raked back to point position there, Spacek. Bell, the fourth forward, guided to Vrbata. Vrbata has one of the two Blackhawk tallies here in the second. Along the goal line, there's Bork. Kolzig slammed the door shut. Spacek slap pass, Vrbata whistles it wide. Back behind the cage, Vorobiev, their highest point-scoring rookie. Bell, Spacek. Keeps it moving on the perimeter. 6.5 gone by in period 2. Vrbata playing a little two-man game. Vorobiev, another former first-round pick. Vrbata, deep slot. Bork with a blazer right to Kolzig, and he'll squeeze.
Well, this to me does not look like a struggling power play for this Chicago Blackhawks. Bork, nice rotation into the high slot, an excellent shot. Vrbata gives him a different look because he's got a hard, heavy shot. They've changed the complexion a little bit on their power play, and it's worked wonders here against the Caps here tonight. Notice the play behind the net. Nice little play for Vorobiev, kicking it out into the high slot, and there's that shot. Vorobiev didn't have time to get in front. That would have been the clutch play, is to screen Ole on the Bork slap shot.
Just as Brian Sotheby airmails one back to center with 7 minutes gone by in period 2. Locker, you mentioned it. The team was not doing well on the power play. Chicago, they were in the throes of an 0-for-21 stretch. Vrbata snapping out of that here in the second period. Washington back to even in full strength. Sharp hustling in and works the backhander wide. Ovechkin jams it on through a coin. Taken on the move by Colin Forbes, who's playing his first game back with the Caps on reassignment from AHL Hershey. Ovechkin was stripped. Back come the Blackhawks with a long drive, and it's armed aside as Matthew Barnaby sent it on the way. Zubras working out there wide. Zubras angling in, lowering the shoulder. Protects it well, then coughs it up. Mikhail Yakubov working with Barnaby. Barnaby delays, looks for help, then gets crowded quickly by Nolan Yonkman. As Cullimore tumbles it in, it's a delayed offside against Chicago. They tag up and go right to the forecheck. And it works out well. Calder stalled there by Morrison. Sean Morrison will play it. And now Alexander Ovechkin zooms back through center. Forbes on the dump in. Monroe barking out the traffic instruction.
Joe, the Caps are stumbling and bumbling all over the place. Even Alex Ovechkin just toe-picked at center ice. It's a flat effort so far by this Caps team.
As Brian Sotheby tries to ignite some energy into his gang with a little rough stuff. The Chicago Blackhawks have had the better of the play from cover to cover. Here in the second period, Verbata, followed up by Spacek. It's 3-0 for the guests.
We're building something together. Something special, something to see. A home to love forever.
At Pulte Homes, we work with home buyers to ensure you're satisfied with the entire home building experience. We pledge to make you so delighted that every time you think of purchasing a new home, you think Pulte Homes.
That's the way it should be. Oh.
Pulte Homes, the way it should be.
Post Game Live on Sports Night, presented by PricewaterhouseCoopers.
And that is where you'll find Sage Steele and Carol Maloney. And coming up on the show, we'll hit the practice field with the Redskins as they get ready for their playoff game with the Seahawks. We're going to have the latest from Redskins Park.
The Caps are winless in 2006. Tonight, they try to change their fortune against the Blackhawks. We'll have a recap from MCI.
And the Hokies are looking for their first ACC win of the season. We're going to have highlights of their game with UNC.
That's tonight after the game.
Watch Comcast Sportsnet for the most in-depth coverage of the Redskins' return back into the second round of the playoffs. A Sports Night team live in Seattle every night, 6:30, 10, 1 a.m. Redskins playoff coverage you won't get anywhere else all this week on Sports Night, presented by PricewaterhouseCoopers. Anton Babchuk in the penalty box for Chicago. Brian Sotheby for Washington. Matching minors, and we go 4-on-4 in this game between the team ranked third best in the Central Division, Chicago, fifth best in the Southeast Division, Washington. Witt towards the front. And there's Duncan Keith to play it. Keith working in back with a coin. Verbata keeps it along the woodwork as Brian Wilsey will latch onto it. Brooks Light waiting for reinforcements. Just peppers it into the corner, and that's where Holmquist will play, a 26-year-old from Stockholm, Sweden. On for Vandermeer. Vandermeer loping back into the offensive zone. Muir controls for Washington. Pressure comes from Andy Hilbert, former University of Michigan standout. As Zubris works in, it is going to be an offside as Zubris and Ovechkin got their signals crossed.
Yeah, they tried to weave their magic through the neutral zone. Alex Ovechkin has been held in check for Glenn Hanlon's Washington Capitals. Chicago, which plays better on the road than they do at home, have put together a real good effort so far against this Caps team. There has been no brain cramps for Barnaby and the rest of his bunch here tonight at MCI.
For Chicago, this starts the first of 5 straight against the Eastern Conference. They will entertain Philadelphia tomorrow at United Center. Ovechkin tried to come back in Zubris' direction, and he was still measured there by Keith. A coin. Now on for the 22-year-old native of Winnipeg, Duncan Keith. Played collegiately at Michigan State. The pass there for Hilbert. That was well wide. As Hilbert and Keith can put their college rivalries aside. Michigan and Michigan State. Ovechkin turning the corner. Has seen Marek Svatos tie him for the rookie goal-scoring lead in the NHL.
A little hat trick, huh?
That'll get you caught up real quick. Clymer lassoed there along the boards. Nice work by Calder if he can get away with it. Hilbert lets that slapper fly, and it was muffled. Jamie Heward makes a break. Just past the regulation midpoint of the game. Clymer lets it loose right to Monroe. And Adam Monroe is 17 for 17 in the save department. Back with more in period 2 after these.
When it comes to financing your home, All Credit Funding is the expert. Whether you're refinancing to lower your payments, buying a new home, pulling cash out for improvements, or consolidating debts, we can help. All Credit Funding is so confident that you'll be satisfied with our service that we'll send you on a complimentary 5-day escape to Hawaii for 2 when your loan closes. That's right. It's our way of saying thanks for putting your trust in us as your mortgage professionals. Call us today.
I'm excited to see Mary, aren't you? Yeah. I can't believe you're still with Tom. I mean, he's nice, but they're so different. Well, as long as she's happy, right?
With its 150-point inspection and 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, there are a lot of reasons to love a Honda certified used car.
How come you never do that for me?
Do what? The Honda certified used car. It may be used, but it's still a Honda.
You know, ever since Stag Chili, the chili lovers love, became the official chili of Madison Square Garden, it's really taken off.
Comcast Sportsnet. We've got the Terps covered. Watch Sports Night at 6:30, 10, and 1 a.m. Highlights, post-game coverage, and the latest from around the ACC. It's your only source for great Terps action. The best Terps basketball coverage is on Comcast Sportsnet.
Caps' next home game, Salute to Military Night. Come see the Caps take on the Blues Thursday, January 19th, 7 p.m. We'll be paying special tribute to the men and women of our armed forces serving at home and abroad. Call 202-397-SEAT for your tickets. Of course, all of us owe a big debt of gratitude to those men and women as that point drive caught a piece of the iron off of a redirect. Matthew Biron sent it on the way.
That's been as close as the Caps have got to scoring here in this hockey game.
Jim Vandermeer rolling it softly into the corner. Biron can get a good look at his collision with Sharp. Vandermeer chased by Ovechkin. Vorobiev marked by Morrison. Even in full strength 5-on-5, Blackhawks by 3 on the road. Team that hasn't won a game since the middle of December. Boyd Gordon strolling through neutral. Ovechkin, good touch pass. Castles had that one blocked by the back-checking Spacek.
And now Glenn Hanlon double-shifting Ovechkin.
Castles one-timer off the outside of the cage. As this one is glanced back onto the Washington side. Jamie Heward will hot-foot it back and play the lead to Brendan Witt. Witt lets it fly. He scores! Brendan Witt.
Well, there was the one break that the Capitals needed. Their fans finally on their feet, showing some real encouragement for the hometown team. Brendan Witt, what a shot. His last goal about 40 games ago. Bad line change by the Hawks. Look at everybody heading off. It's a quick up to Brendan Witt. Turns into a 4-on-3 and a fine-looking shot. Brendan Witt looking like a gunslinger there. The snapper past the right toe of Monroe. The Caps are back in it just like that.
Good recognition, too, by Brendan. He could see that the Blackhawks were going for that line change. He jumped up. Jamie Heward spotted him. And Brendan Witt finished it off first of the season, first in his career against Chicago for the 11th year pro. Heward fires another one deflected down and wide. And let's see just how fragile the Blackhawks are. Brooks Light for Brian Wilsey. Wilsey turns the corner, Caps with momentum. Shot put right there by Clark, but Monroe got the pads together.
And marked that as the save of the game. That would have been 3-2. The Caps would have had all the mo. Monroe needed to save the bacon of his hockey club. The best stop of the night on Clark. It starts with a kickback to Heward. Hard slap shot. Wilsey retrieves. Nice reversal of the puck to Light. Light's going to get it and reverse it again. Clark's going to drive the net and get a glorious chance in the high slot. Great stop by the goaltender.
And then Washington continues to buzz right off the next face-up. As Clymer and Sotheby and Bradley are on ice. Brent Yanni sends Arneson's line out there along with Verbata and Bell. Brian Muir for the Capitals. Came through the seam and back on down. Duncan Keith will corral. Keith's not the only really good-looking young defender on the Chicago team. They're missing one due to injury. Promising rookie Brent Seabrook out of the lineup with a knee injury. And he was the young man who took a lot of Adrian Aucoin's minutes when Aucoin was injured back in October. Little combination passing play for Arneson didn't work out. Eminger rotates away. Steve Eminger on for Colin Forbes. Met there by Keith. Eminger jousting it on for Colin Forbes to gain ground. Zubris out wide. Zubris to the front. Deflection try. Pinballed off of Monroe. Ovechkin's follow-up chance was rejected just the same. Ovechkin makes the strip on Barnaby. Ovechkin walks in, fires, and scores! Alexander Ovechkin. It's 3-2.
Well, we were mentioning moments ago about Alexander Ovechkin being held very well by this Chicago Blackhawks club. Held in checks. Crazy eights around here at MCI Center, and it's a shot Monroe would like to have back. Give credit for Alexander Ovechkin. Watch him fight through the check. Number one, fighting off Aucoin, fighting off Barnaby on our Alexander GMC Pontiac Buick. A nice isolation. There's the wrister. He fought off Barnaby. He fought off the defenseman. He fought off the goaltender. Ovechkin. And the Caps, one behind the Hawks.
A very determined shift there. And Trent Yawney, the head coach for Chicago, says timeout as the Capitals put a couple of goals on the board in less than 2 minutes. 1 minute and 52 seconds apart. The strikes from Witt and Ovechkin. And there is Trent Yawney, the former Hawk, who asked to gather his gang around for a little fireside chat as we go back one more time for another Ovechkin blazing wrist shot.
And there's a fight with Barnaby in the corner. Watch this curl and drag right here, Joe. It doesn't get any better than that. Curl and drag shot through the defenseman's screen, who was screening Monroe. The Caps, after Chicago had a 6-2 lead in shots, 8-0 recently, 2 goals.
Bork with a tough one there from a severe angle, and Kolzig just got those pillows together in time. Back comes Chris Clark in what is now a 3-2 game and an energized MCI Center. Chicago had the first 3 markers on the night. Washington in the white sweaters, Clark there with Keith. Bounced loose for Bork, and he'll tumble it on down. Even in full strength, big shots on goal totals in this game, 24-21, just a little bit past the midway mark. So Witt from Heward, Ovechkin unassisted, and the Caps are right back in it. Morrison will send it on down. Glenn Hanlon changes him up on the go. Spot check before he got creamed. Got it ahead. LaPointe and Calder and Yakubov out there now in the black for visiting Chicago. Eminger's pass on through Clymer. Pinch to the wall there. Yakubov took him down. Power play coming right now. And the Caps will go to the manpower advantage with a chance to tie. Chicago 3, Washington 2. If you turned away from the screen in the last 2 minutes, Witt first with a wrister. Ovechkin with 1 5-hole. It's almost a brand new game.
Hi, I'm Marcus Washington, and I would like to introduce you to Alexandria, Pontiac Buick, and GMC.
You will find this dealer has one purpose: to exceed your expectations from test drive to delivery. From stepping into the showroom, you'll see and feel the difference. The service department delivers efficient and quality care in this state-of-the-art facility. Take advantage of our unlimited car wash service with purchase of a vehicle. Each customer is treated like an individual, not a number. Quality vehicles in a family environment. Alexandria, Pontiac, Buick, and GMC.
Right now, over half our suits and sport coats are on sale, plus hundreds of pants, sweaters, shoes, shirts, and outerwear, 20 to 50% off. Now that's a sale. I guarantee it.
The Men's Warehouse Winter Sale.
They don't care that Valero Energy Corporation is the nation's largest independent refiner, or that we're an industry leader in the production of environmentally clean energy products, or that our 4,600 stores market food and fuel to keep most of North America going. They just know that among the thousands of Valero employees who volunteer for community service every day, there's one who has energy to spare. For them, Valero, the energy to take you anywhere.
Get the inside story with ComcastSportsNet.com Sports Extra and Sports Blast emails. Learn the latest programming info, read special feature columns, and be the first to know about breaking news. Don't be left out. To sign up, head to ComcastSportsNet.com right now.
Suddenly there's some intensity building up with the guys in the white sweaters. Mikhail Yakubov in the penalty box for tripping, and now Washington has the chance to tie this game. At one point led by Chicago 3-0. Zubris and Wilsey and Ovechkin on top for the Washington Capitals. It is Heward and Muir, a familiar duo along the blue line. Ovechkin very determined now. Rolls it into the corner. Heward cheating down from his point spot. Power play number 4 for the Caps. Muir able to keep it in. Wilsey pursuing the puck. Keith right there, supported by Holmquist. Heward kept it along the woodwork, and Duncan Keith says, get out of here.
A real good play by Keith and Holmquist. Good support on the half wall, pressuring the Caps power play.
Zubris streaming back in. Wilsey waits. Puts it off the defender, Vandermeer. Monroe wanted to cover it. He didn't get it under the glove. Heward and Muir do not keep it in, and the Blackhawks will bang it back out to center. With 4:48 to go in the second period, Chicago on the lead by 1. Alexander Ovechkin all the way back to point position. Caps with power play goals in 9 straight games. 15 of the last 17. Will they strike here? Heward winds and fires, deflected away. Cullimore golfed it around. Vandermeer looking to get it out. Vandermeer watching Sharp work, and Sharp plays it all the way back. They'll change the penalty killers on the go. 35 seconds left in the minor to Yakubov. Forbes looking to the boards for Castles. One more pass in stride to Lyke. Brooks Lyke finessed it to the front. Spacek nearly ripped him off twice. Biron, Muir. Outside it comes again. Lyke with 18 seconds to work on the power play. Biron's one-timer, not a lot of mustard on it. An easy clear for Andy Hilbert.
Yeah, I think Muir was looking for the far side guy darting to the net, which was his partner, along with Forbes. They were both driving that offside post, and at the last minute saw them, and that's why he changed from shot to a shot pass.
And sadly, Locker for Washington, a shot-less power play. Keith lets it roar wide. Followed up now. Arneson storming the crease. Kolzig went paddle down to deny there. As Brooks Lyke goes high off the window back out to center. Tyler Arneson, 24-year-old Oklahoma City native.
Yeah, his dad spent some time here, Chuck, with the Washington Capitals.
Late 70s, if I'm not mistaken. Feathered on back by Forbes. Ryan Sotheby walking in against Adrian Aucoin. Keeps it into the corner, and Aucoin will latch onto it. A little less than 3 minutes away from our Pulte Homes intermission report as we move right along with this NHL action on Comcast Sportsnet. Washington entertaining Chicago. Blackhawks have the lead by a 3-2 margin. That blast high on Kolzig. Follow-up chance was scorched wide too. And back comes Washington in transition with Clymer. Then Clymer lets it fly. Ricochet just batted out of the air by Bradley off the target.
Yeah, Monroe having a little tougher time now that the heat is on, controlling those rebounds here in the second.
Verbata coming ahead. It's a 3-on-2. Verbata rips it right to the gut of Kolzig. No rebound this time.
Good action at both ends of the ice. Vorobiev and the Hawks against Ole Kolzig and the Caps. Some fire wagon run and gun hockey at the Caps end against the Blackhawks. Great chance for Bradley. Watch him knock this baby out of midair. Just chipped it a little high over the crossbar. Glorious chance. Good eye-hand coordination by Bradley. He had the empty net with that juicy rebound from Monroe.
Matt Bradley trying to snap out of a pointless drought. That's going upwards of double digits. You look at the shots on goal to this point, favoring the Caps by a deuce. The lead goal for the moment, Yaroslav Spacek, that crazy one that banked in off of Kolzig and then off the defender, Heward. Alexander Ovechkin has struck for the Capitals, now goals in 8 of his last 10 games. Steve Eminger waits for the handoff from Ole. Less than 2 to go in period 2. Clark matched up there with Yakubov. Brooks Light gets it out, right in stride for Brian Wilsey. Wilsey tried to come to the inside on Duncan Keith, no sail. Clark on a follow-up chance, blocked by Spacek off the rink.
Well, Clarkie trying to tie it up along with Wilsey. Some workhorses down the corner. Spacek and the veteran D for the Blackhawks doing a good job. Here we'll take a look at that last opportunity. Good breakout by the Caps. Wilsey tries to curl and drag, just about works. But notice the second man for the Caps is Clark. A lot of times in the initial rushes in the first period, they didn't have that second man joining the rush and closing the gap. There, Clark gets a quality chance. Good redirect by the defenseman.
Back to point position. Biron off that set play, and Monroe shuttled over to deny. Chris Clark in a shoving match with a coin. Clark's been playing good defensively in the last couple of weeks. Top 3 in the NHL with respect to takeaways. He'd like to take the lead away from Chicago right now. A 3-2 game with 80 seconds to go in the second period. Rene Bourque watched carefully. Ladled on out by Gordon, swatted on down by Clark, and Monroe will hold. Adam Monroe, the 23-year-old out of Ontario, backstopping this lead for the Hawks. Vorobiev can't save, calls it. Follow-up chance for Sharp. Didn't get through. Under a minute to go in period 2. Zubris overskates. Sharp in tight quarters there for Vorobiev, and Zubris will angle back out. Dinas Zubris into space for Bradley's backhander. Stopped by Monroe.
That was a nice one, flashing out that toe.
Another toe stop, and another in succession. First on Bradley, then on Zubris, and then a Washington power play.
Well, tackling not allowed in front of the net. The Caps putting on a lot of heat against the Chicago Blackhawk club. And you're going to have Keith, their minute guy, going to the bench for a hold and in tackling. Here comes Zubris. Nice little play. Bradley left toe save. Ovechkin rewinds it and watch Dinas. And throws it in front to Bradley. Then Dinas the follow-up. There's the tackle by Keith. He'll have a seat for tackling. They call it hooking. Caps with a power play.
Monroe's got 27 stops. 36.8 to go in the second period. Hawks win the draw and boom it all the way down. Ole Kolzig keeping an eye on the forecheck of Holmquist. Ovechkin funnels it on for Wilsey. Kept out there wide for Zubris. Zubris jumping into the middle. Loose in front of the top of the crease. And once again, the Hawks do the job defensively. Washington's power play on its 5th opportunity. They are over to this point.
They're real tough on the PK. I like what they're doing. They really collapse low, close off a high slot so far against the Caps.
Loose in front of Monroe. And Bell will walk it out of harm's way as
we continue our Pulte Hooms intermission report. A chance to visit with former Caps coach Butch Cassidy. Besides good seeing you, it was a very interesting period to watch with quite a bit of momentum and 4 goals.
Yeah, we don't do a lot of scoring, at least we haven't lately, especially in the power play. So it's nice to get one on the power play and then get a lucky one. I'm sure Ole wondered what the heck happened there, but we'll take him any way we can get him.
You had kept Alex Ovechkin pretty quiet, then he made a pretty good individual effort.
Yeah, unfortunately, we turned the puck over in our end, and he beat some guys one-on-one. He has the ability to do that, and he finds the back of the net. So, but we said coming in, if he only gets one and plays his usual 20, 25 minutes, that's not a bad deal for us.
Very quickly, is it just a desperate team to have to end this 10-game losing streak in this third period?
Yeah, we addressed that in the room. It's been a long time since we've won a hockey game, so I hope we, keep our feet moving and keep it simple with the puck. And if something happens that the Caps earn it, we don't give it to them.
Butch, thanks for the time. Good seeing you again.
All right, thank you.
Butch Cassidy joining us now as an assistant coach of the Chicago Blackhawks. Guys, take it away.
Butch and Al, we appreciate it. Caps faithful hurrying back to their seats. The last time Chicago did win a hockey game, December 16th against St. Louis. They've got 20 minutes left in regulation to protect a 1-goal lead in Washington. And as we get things started, the Capitals do begin this third period on the power play for another 1:15. Brian Wilsey guides it ahead for Dinas Zubris. Zubris stalled by Spacek. Bourque will take back over. Using the glass, he'll deliver it on down.
And Spacek did a real good job against Dinas Zubris. Zubris had some good speed. He's a hard guy to corral along the wall. He did it in front of the Chicago bench. That allowed Bourque to get back and clear the puck. Good PK to start this period.
Ovechkin, his shot attempt ricochets off a coin. It'll be kept in by Muir. Around the turnstile for Zubris. Bunted for Ovechkin. To the point, it's Muir again. Shaded there by Barnaby. First minute of the third period, 3-2 Chicago. Duncan Keith serving another 25 seconds in his sentence. Muir waiting. Playing catch with Ovechkin. Crowded immediately by Cullimore. The big defender took away a lot of room.
Yeah, good job also by Holmquist getting back in that zone there to take away that lane. Much like the Caps tried against Florida, spreading out the box and trying to hit the center lane for the far guy one-timer. Nicely taken away by the penalty killers of Chicago.
And we hear another whistle.
Delay a game.
There it is.
Unfortunately, just 1 second, Joe, on the other power play opportunity.
We have seen that an awful lot this year, and there's no judgment call in that. Zero tolerance. Put it off the rink and have a seat. And Anton Babchuk will do just that. Babchuk, the 21-year-old native of Ukraine, a first-round pick for these Blackhawks in 2002.
And you can see how much the power plays have changed in the NHL. Back in 03-04, they had 21 times against them that they were 5-on-3. This is the 47th time. I bet for 1 second, I think that should be on the clock. That they should have had 1 second still left, and I think that's what they're asking for.
Instead, when you do the math, they figure out that the time had elapsed. And Washington's power play number 6 will be of the 5-on-4 variety, with Brooks Light digging in against Patrick Sharp. Matthew Bieron at one point, Jamie Heward the other for Glenn Hanlon's club. Heward steps in, drive, knocked down in front of Adam Monroe. Monroe getting the call between the pipes for Chicago. With Nikolai Khabibulin on the injured list, Craig Anderson on the bench, it is Monroe's game to win. He won back here his first NHL victory, and only NHL victory in March of 04. Duncan Keith speeds to a loose puck, lost it there in translation. Forbes loosened up and played on down by Kyle Calder.
It seems to me like the penalty killing unit's winning those little battles along the wall, and that's really clicked off a lot of time for this Caps power play tonight.
Dinas Zubris will slug it in. Alexander Ovechkin had it bounce over his tape, and it's worked all the way back by Bell. 1 minute to go in the minor to Babchuk. 2.5 deep in the third period. Ryan Muir working his way in. Muir closing. Drags it around the defender. Ryan Muir is +3, tied for the team lead. Ovechkin back in Wilsey's direction. A bad pass there. Bell will skate it from harm and lazily poke it one-handed down as he turns to the bench for the line change. Looping out of his own end, it's Ovechkin. Rink wide to Muir. Barnaby out there with Sharp for the final 20 seconds of shorthanded time. Keith tried a little chisel move there to a coin, got it right back, and Duncan Keith will clear. Not much happening on this Washington power play. 3 straight manpower advantages for the Caps without a shot. Ovechkin zooming in, lets it fly, glove save, rebound, score! A tap in tight.
The Caps have to get more shots. We said that was going to be one of their keys to the game. Brian Sotheby collects a juicy rebound and pots his 9th. We're all tied up at 3. Here comes OV. Little move, wrist shot, puck up in the air. There's the big rebound. There's Sotheby. The eye on the loose puck. The goaltender, Monroe, lost sight of this. Here's a nice isolation of Alex Ovechkin. Look at it. When he scores, when he doesn't score, as long as the Caps score, he's all smiles as Alex Ovechkin, Sudsy pots one in.
Our Alexandria Buick Pontiac GMC Ovechcam training its eye on another multi-point performance for Alexander the 8. Brian Sotheby's marker comes at 327, an even strength tally, and the Caps have dug themselves all the way out of a 3-0 hole. Cullimore lost his balance. Clymer's pass wrong-sided Sotheby. It will allow Verbata to scamper back. A dipping drive wide of Ole Kolzig. Shots on goal for the Capitals 30, for Chicago 24. And after Barnaby, Verbata, and Spacek tallied for the visitors, Witt, Ovechkin, and Sotheby have answered. And the game begins once again at 3-3. Bradley just poked it to center. Babchuk will launch it in. Another strange carom, and Kolzig was privy to that. Hawks keeping their line shifts very short here in the third period. Sotheby rambling ahead. He heard Spacek in the lane, and he'll dump it in for the line change. You look at Yakubov drifting out of his own zone. Mikhail Yakubov for Vandermeer. And now Calder will send it back behind Kolzig's crease. Eminger teamed up with Lyke, 4 in the quarrel along the boards. Wilsey taps it away. Lyke throws an indirect pass. He was looking for Clark, and Vandermeer was in the lane. Eminger has some breathing room. Lost his balance. Lyke captures. Eminger at the goal line, to the front and right on by. Point shot coming from Muir. No troubles for Monroe. 5 minutes deep in the third. Along with Craig Laughlin and Al Koken, I'm Joe Beninati. Glad you've tuned in with us on Comcast Sportsnet. A busy week of Caps hockey to come. Thursday, we'll be seeing the Dallas Stars in Big D. Ovechkin pawns it off to Colin Forbes. Forbes with a wrist shot. Booted out of there by Monroe. Forbes got his own rebound. Knocked away again by the young Blackhawk netminder.
Yeah, the Hawks are starting to wilt under the pressure of the Washington Capitals. All momentum in their favor for the home team right now. The Caps have done a terrific job getting to Monroe and getting after them. The Hawks have not registered a shot on net. The last time the Caps overcame a 3-goal deficit back in March of '03 at the Bees, even though they ended up losing in overtime 5-4.
That's the 2002-03 season. So you got to go back a ways. Things have unraveled here for Chicago. Things that look promising for them to snap out of a 10-game losing spell. They'll have to fight for it down the stretch. It's an odd series with Washington and Chicago in the all-time ranks. The Caps have actually won 6 of the last 10 in Chicago. As Bork maneuvers in, he was stopped by Heward. The Blackhawks have actually won 6 of the last 10 here. No prosperity for the hometown team. Sharp weakly on goal. A penalty call coming now against the Capitals. Monroe realizes that he'll get to the bench. A coin fires. Stop. Good save by Kolzig. And he may have hurt himself on that rebound.
Man,
Ole Kolzig stays down.
Man, you're right, Joe. He really had to stretch across that seam there to collect that second follow-up shot. Good pressure by the Hawks.
We'll check on Ole in a little bit. We'll check on Ole after the break. 3-3.
Toyota is reinventing what and how you drive. The 06 Toyotas have arrived at your Toyota dealer. Every Toyota car has a model that's EPA estimated over 30 miles per gallon highway, like Camry, that starts under $20,000. Now get $1,000 cash back from Toyota on Camrys and 4Runners, or get low 2.9% APR financing on 4Runners, or choose a fuel-efficient Corolla and get $500 cash back. Technology for today and tomorrow. Toyota, moving forward.
We see protection. We see security. We see confidence. We see peace of mind. We've made our software more secure, and we're always working to keep it that way. Find out more.
Thanks to all of our fans back home. We got the best fans in football.
The best fans in football deserve the best website. Visit Redskins.com. Join the team on their postseason journey.
All year long to get to this.
Redskins.com delivers Skins fans the most complete, unfiltered playoff coverage, live press conferences, daily updates from Redskins Park, and exclusive behind-the-scenes footage.
It was win or go home. And I ain't seen nobody with no bags packed yet.
The Redskins are proud of their city and their fans. Log on to Redskins.com and join the team as we head to Seattle.
going to break. This is what happened to Ole Kolzig. Long-range shot by the captain, a coin. Watch Bork come in, try to chip it. And there you'll see Ole go down. His left leg is a little contorted. Might have twisted that left leg a little bit.
Got a little bit of attention from Greg Smith, the head athletic trainer for the Washington Capitals, but Ole Kolzig apparently none the worse for wear. Stays in there. He'll stay put. Watching Chicago work on a power play now. 6.5 minutes into the third period. We're deadlocked at 3. Clark, shouldered by Spacek. For the Hawks, it's their third man-power advantage. The power play goal coming earlier in the night from Radim Vrbata. Zubris spins it only as far as the Blackhawk line. Kyle Calder rampaging in. Hits the brakes. Calder channeled it back behind the cage to Martin Lapointe. Vrbata, Calder, Spacek, and Bell. You're introduced to the Chicago power play group. Vrbata for Spacek again. Radim Vrbata. Spacek, one-timer, a buzz bomb that went wide. Zubris stepping out, Muir doing the same. Witt comes to call. Around she comes. Bell. Spacek. Vrbata drifting away from pressure. Isolating against Muir. Vrbata fires. Kolzig got a piece of that.
Well, they're taking away the point shot. That's what Vrbata has to do. He has to rotate out and get that shot from the top of the circle.
Witt didn't get it clear. Vrbata challenged by Muir. Well done. He'll force it back to center. Mark Bell powering in. Leads the team in goals. Vrbata back for Bell, one-timer, and he shattered that hockey stick right in half. Calder pivots away from Witt. Stepping right to the cooker, and Kolzig makes the save as the cage is knocked from its moorings.
Time now, Joe, for our Torrid League leaderboard. The most penalty minutes this season. You'll see several guys on display here tonight. Sean Avery, Brendan Wood of the Caps, Matthew Bam Bam Barnaby, Todd Simpson is a scratch for Chicago. And there's big Zdeno Chara, arguably one of the best defensemen in the NHL, right up there because of his toughness. Brendan Witt has been offensive. Bam Bam has been offensive also. They've been out of the box. They each have a goal. So the penalty minute guys doing some damage here in the game tonight.
Both of these teams bemoaning the fact that they are not big goal-getting clubs. They've got 3 apiece. Ole Kolzig in his duel with Adam Monroe. Chicago and Washington back to even in full strength, 5 aside. Bradley and Clymer and Sotheby on ice for head coach Glenn Hanlon now. As Clymer looks to split the seam. Barnaby keeps it on the boards. Sotheby steps in the way. And a penalty call coming against Chicago. More special teams work in just a moment. Kolzig's on the players' bench. Centering pass just poked wide. Morrison from the angle, flagged down by Monroe, and we'll hear the whistle. The Caps almost stashed the 6-on-5 tally.
And an interference call coming up against the Hawks. It happened right in front of Monroe. Good clean out in front of him, but when there's no puck around, you're going to get nailed. And it's the interference call. Trent Yanni, a fine defenseman in his own right. Played many seasons in the National Hockey League. He used to clean guys out. That used to be legal. And that little push there, a little hack, a little whack. Nice play by Bradley and company, rotating the puck out. And Duncan Keith, a lot of guys that spent a lot of time in the penalty killing unit, will be lost for the Hawks for 2 minutes.
Yaroslav Spacek did not get it clear. Washington in the white sweater, skating 5-on-4 now here in the third period. One-timer deflected down. Biron sent it on the way. If you missed it here in the third period, a Brian Sotheby rebound goal. An assist from Ovechkin and Muir has made it 3-3. Wilsey pivots, and they are going to get a cap here, and Dinas Zubris had better watch out. He may get more than just 2.
Well, he dropped his stick. He started yelling at the referee. You make a good point. Could have easily been doled out an additional 2 or a 10. He got tangled up with the D, and so the Caps power play goes for not just 24 seconds in. Here's the play down low. There's the little hook right there between the legs. A spinorama by the D-man. Vandermeer logged a ton of ice time with Keith in the penalty box. Dinas Zubris tripping at 9:09.
Despite Zuby's objections, the referees send him there. Pavel Vorobiev rattled by Muir. Chicago in the black in this 3-3 struggle on Comcast Sportsnet. Mikhail Yakubov cinched against the boards. Eminger stays with him. Floats in the air, and Ovechkin will use a gloved hand to get it back to center.
Yeah, and Vorobiev and Yakubov, they were both Mike Smith first rounders, 10th and 11th back in 2000. They'd like to see offense out of these two guys. They got them for skill, haven't delivered at the NHL level quite yet.
Coaching staff says they're both very impressionable. Sometimes you got to take a step back. Vorobiev had to do that this week when he was reassigned back to the American Hockey League.
And some of the guys that were picked after those two guys in 2000, Frolov, Ott, Hettinger, Sotheby, Wisnowski, and Volchenkov.
Arneson will send it in. Drafting is an inexact science.
It certainly is.
Jamie Heward on the breakout for Washington with Brendan Witt. 4-on-4 for 25 seconds. Monroe carefully will cover. Break time for us. We'll have you back to MCI Center right after these words.
Look, here's the deal. When you talk about Geico.com, you want to communicate three things. Easy to use, no middleman, could save you hundreds on car insurance. Other than that, just sort of be personable, yeah? The old nice weather, innit? Cup of tea? That'd be lovely. How's your mum? Cheers. I'd stick with a small talk, mate. Theatrics might come across as a bit cheesy.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
The CAA Hoops headquarters is on Comcast Sportsnet. A can't-miss basketball doubleheader Saturday afternoon. At noon, the VCU Rams and the ODU Monarchs get their game on when these two teams take center stage. Then at 4:30, conference play heats up when regional rivals Towson and Delaware tip off in an intense matchup. Comcast Sportsnet, your home for great CAA hoops action. Saturday, VCU and ODU at noon, and Towson versus Delaware at 4:30. Only on Comcast Sportsnet.
Pretty eventful hockey game. Why don't we summarize? Chicago jumped out to a 3-0 lead. Washington has the last three. Brendan Witt, one of those. Alexander Ovechkin, 15 multi-point games. He's more than halfway to 100 in his rookie NHL season. And we are 3-3 with 9.5 to go in the third.
Yeah, and second in points for the Caps. Heward picked up an assist. He now has 23. Sole possession of second place with points.
Chris Clark out there now. Still 4-on-4 hockey along with Boyd Gordon for 8 seconds. Duncan Keith is up at the penalty box door. This will be a lightning quick power play. An unfair one for Chicago. Really with just 20 seconds to work.
Yeah, Clark should have got an interference call there. He knocked the stick out of the hands of the defender. The referee did not see it.
Adrian Aucoin. Chicago on a power play for another 10 seconds. That the remainder in the minor to Dinas Zubris. Martin Lapointe kicks it into gear. Lapointe with Sharp making a beeline to the goal. Drops it back off for Bourque. Gets it on the boards. Brendan Witt right there shoulder to shoulder with a former Red Wing hard-nosed winger. Bourque off the outside of the cage. Rene Bourque, no relation to Washington prospect Chris Bourque, son of Hall of Famer Ray. Lapointe rounding around with Sotheby. Brian Sotheby has done the majority of his damage on the road this season, but it's his goal here at home in the third period that has leveled the score at 3 apiece. Clymer trying to pass that one off the cage to a teammate. Arneson settles, and Cullimore will get it out. Cullimore and Aucoin, their plus minuses have taken a beating in the last week, as this is an icing call against Chicago. Locker, let's look at the 3 Washington markers.
It started with a nice Brendan Witt, headman by Heward, snapper over the right pad. Ovechkin, a one-on-one move, beating 2 Chicago Blackhawks, and then Sotheby in the paint. The Caps have battled back from a 3-0 deficit. The Sotheby goal has knotted it all up here in the third period.
Brian Sotheby ending a 5-game pointless stretch for himself. As far as the chances are concerned, Washington leads by a half dozen. The Blackhawks will host Philadelphia tomorrow. Chicago's lost its last 7 at United Center. They've dumped their last 5 on the road. Washington technically has lost 4 in a row at home. Something's got to give. 3-3 with less than 8 to go on Comcast Sportsnet. A diving Bell thwarted by Muir. A coin will come rink wide. Ovechkin lying in that seam there, intercepted the pass from Duncan Keith. Steve Eminger will span the Toronto native, pressured by Russian-born Yakubov. Around for Ovechkin to drag it on out. In stride, it's Colin Forbes. Forbes lets it fly, shouldered down by Monroe. Colin Forbes playing in his first game with the Washington Capitals this time around. A second tour of duty with him, recently acquired from Carolina for Stephen Peet. Ovechkin's pass was a bad one, and Duncan Keith will put it on back. Barnaby picking up Hilbert for a drive, and that one ripped wide. Barnaby back behind the cage for Hilbert again. Brendan Witt keeping an eye on him. You get a handheld look at the action down low along the dasher. Jamie Heward puts it on the boards. Clark sends it away, and Ovechkin is gobbling up real estate. Ovechkin working wide, fires, that didn't get through. Vandermeer wouldn't allow it. Hilbert put it into the protective gear of Jamie Heward.
Yeah, Trent Yawney giving some guys that haven't received a whole lot of ice time, giving them some energy time. Hilbert had only played 5 minutes coming into the third period, getting some quality time here late in this period.
He is, Craig, as Matthew Barnaby looks for a little head and shoulder work. Back behind the goal to Bourque again. We are 5-on-5 for the moment. Muir stapling Bourque to the boards. Sharp to the front. Vorobiev very clever with it. Vorobiev backside, good breakup. A pass from Vorobiev intended for Bourque, never got there. Vorobiev still dangerous in the offensive zone. Little pool cue shot to himself out of the corner. Sotheby hooks on. Bourque breaks loose out of the cycle. And the Caps will break that up with Ben Clymer in charge. Clymer rolling in. Put a little fake on Babchuk. Now looks for help just coming off the bench. It's Zubris! Backhander stopped by Monroe. 5:40 to go in regulation. Witt tumbles it towards the goal. Vorobiev late in his shift. Puts it away. Down the alleyway comes Sharp, and he got smoked by Brendan Witt, and that's going to cost Witt a trip to the penalty box. Chicago 3, Washington 3. Caps short-handed when you're back to MCI.
The Redskins are moving on. Next is the divisional showdown with Seattle. And Comcast Sportsnet has it covered this week at 6:30, 10, and 1 a.m. in Sports Night. Live in Seattle with the latest on the team. Saturday at 4, it's pregame live. The preview show is Inside Access. And after the game, watch Redskins postgame live. Analysis, reaction, and more. Total Redskins coverage. Sports Night, pregame live, postgame live. Nobody covers the Redskins better. Only on Comcast Sportsnet.
Hi, I'm Marcus Washington, and I would like to introduce you to Alexandria, Pontiac, Buick, and GMC.
You will find this dealer has one purpose: to exceed your expectations from test drive to delivery. From stepping into the showroom, you'll see and feel the difference. The service department delivers efficient and quality care in this state-of-the-art facility. Take advantage of our unlimited car wash service with purchase of a vehicle. Each customer is treated like an individual, not a number. Quality vehicles in a family environment. Alexandria, Pontiac, Buick, and GMC.
The word is out. The Washington Capitals, in partnership with WTOP News Radio, have expanded the Eagles Nest seats at Caps games. Over 2,000 seats are now available at the unheard-of price of only $5 per seat when purchased in a group of 4 or purchased individually at $10 per seat. Don't miss this great opportunity to see the Caps square off against the best teams in the NHL. For tickets, call 202-397-SEAT or visit WashingtonCaps.com.
Let's get you a preview of what's coming up on Caps Postgame Live with Joe Reekie. It's been like 2 different hockey games for the Caps.
Well, start to finish. I wanted to see how Washington would come out against a Blackhawk team that lost 10 in a row and how they responded from first period to second period.
And you guys get to see how the Caps now respond on the penalty kill with Joe and Craig.
Looking forward to it, man. Postgame Live coming up soon. as we conclude regulation time and perhaps more here at the MCI Center.
Well, if you look at stats, you may presume more, because both these teams in the bottom 5 when it comes to scoring goals in the third period. The Hawks just 31. The Caps have 35 coming into tonight's game.
Big time important penalty kill right now. Bell steps in and fires, and Kolzig has that in his lap, and he will control it. 3-3 with 5:04 to go in the third. Our Aquavelva fresh-faced Chicago netminder, Adam Monroe.
Making his first start of the season for Trent Yanni and the Blackhawks has been solid there on Dinah Zubris, with Ovechkin trying to get to the net. Hard snapshot and a follow-up by Light. Long range, nicely gobbled up. Around the net, he's used the butterfly. He's got 2 very quick legs down low. First rounder in 01. His first victory came against the Caps in 03-04. March of that year.
And right in this building, Washington has 13 wins. So does Chicago. For the Capitals, 10 of those 13 wins are come from behind efforts. Obviously, this one would fall into that mix if the Capitals do prevail. They've got a penalty kill, though, for another 70 seconds in a 3-3 contest late in the third. Verbata skipping away from Gordon. Calder, nice pass. Spot check, a slap feed for Verbata. Working around Boyd Gordon. Verbata will drift in against Eminger. One-timer, pad save Kolzig. That was a beauty on Mark Bell. He leads the team with a half dozen power play goals, Bell does. Working the point. Spot check. An unusual goal for him this evening. Unusual in the way it caromed off a Washington defender. Verbata, less than 4 to go in the third. Spacek will take it. Didn't get a lot of wood on that. A wipeout in the corner. And Martin Lapointe is sitting on the puck, so the faceoff comes outside the zone. 3-3 in Comcast Sportsnet coverage of Washington Capitals hockey is being brought to you tonight by your Toyota dealer, where you will find the ride of your life. Toyota, moving forward.
Well, not where Marty Lapointe wanted that puck to end, up under his rump there to the left side of Ole Kolzig. I mean, it thwarted an opportunity. I'm surprised he didn't want to get up quicker. He was dog-tired late in that power play, and therefore the faceoff comes outside.
32-year-old native of Quebec, 9 goals this year for Chicago, 4 of them on the power play, and the Blackhawks will see that power play expire in 18 seconds. Bork dropped it off for a coin. He knows a thing or two about power play goals. He put that one right to Kolzig's blocker pad. A few years ago back in Vancouver, he had a ton of power play goals. Tied Denny Potvin's record for power play goals by a defender. But a coin, and the Blackhawks will watch this one go away. 3 shots on goal, all handled by Kolzig. And now down the stretch with 3:20 to go in regulation. We're about to see who will be the hero tonight for Washington or Chicago. They jam it up. Vorobiev and Bork come out of there in the black for the Blackhawks. Muir skating well in this third period. Like canceling out Vorobiev. The Caps come back with Wilsey. Watched carefully by Vandermeer. Like up in arms with Vorobiev. Those two will have known each other very well during their struggles in the American Hockey League. Forbes with a blast that was right on, and Monroe held the post.
Forbes has done a great job tonight getting his pucks to the net. He has 3 or 4 good shots. When you're playing on the #1 line, you've got to get pucks towards the net. He's been utilized in several lines tonight. He's had a great start to his American Hockey League season because of that, playing with confidence. 31 points in 38 games for him at the AHL level.
Split between Lowell and Hershey. Barnaby towards the net, and it'll skitter wide. Sharp tapped it. Heward controls. Moves it around for Colin Forbes. 36 in the white. 2:10 to go in the third. We're deadlocked at 3. Zubris matched up there. Duncan Keith closed the gap very quickly. Zubris bounding back up. The much bigger man there. Throws one to the front for Ovechkin. He was guarded by a coin. We drift below 2 minutes to go in regulation time. Capitals have battled all the way back from a 3-0 deficit. Chicago is trying to end a 10-game losing streak, the longest since the early 50s for this proud franchise. To the goal mouth and right on by. Barnaby scoops it on for Sharp. Sharp in tandem there with Calder. It trickles wide of the goal. 1 minute and 25 seconds to go in the third. Ryan Sotheby tied it up for Washington here in the final stanza. Now Ovechkin looks to win it. Alexander Ovechkin deeking to the inside, and Keith wouldn't let him go.
And he wouldn't let him go because he's the guy that turned the puck over. Tremendous work by the defenseman. Keith making sure he held Ovechkin in check.
Capitals closing in on 40 shots again tonight. They've got 37. The Blackhawks have 30. The only score that matters, though, is 3-3 right now in the final minute of play. As this one is put off the rink, the faceoff will come in neutral zone. Sports Night is soon to come, presented by PricewaterhouseCoopers. Of course, we are covering all things concerning the Redskins and their playoff hopes. We'll recap this one from here at MCI and also go facing off around the NHL with you. If you stay there for the conclusion of this game, Why Would You Move? Caps postgame live, and then Sports Night. 7 other games going on around the NHL slate this Tuesday. San Jose in Boston, the return of Joe Thornton, and the Sharks pummeling the Bruins by a 6-1 count in the third. Clark put it ahead. Ovechkin, not a lot of running room yet. Alexander Ovechkin with 34 to go in the third period. Bell chops it along for Verbata, and Zubris is right there in tow. We are down to 24 remaining. Vandermeer on the control breakout. Verbata put a little air on that, too strong for Arneson. 13 seconds left. As the Caps dump it down, Sotheby is there and wipes out awkwardly into the end wall. Bradley stripped of it by Spacek, 3 seconds left. Vorobiev racing through center, and we are... Pulte Homes has 15 new home communities in the DC metro area. Visit Pulte.com. Third time in the 6-game homestand here in our beautiful nation's capital that Ole Kolzig and his team will go to overtime. A 3-3 count after 60 minutes worth of work. Chicago had the 3-0 advantage, and then Craig, cue the comeback.
And it's a quick up by Jamie Hewer to his partner Brendan Witt. Wonderful snapper over that left pad. Nice play by Ovechkin, one-on-one, mano-a-mano, and then Sudsy in the crease, just taps it in. Monroe lost that up in midair because of the good work by Ovechkin streaking down the wing.
Witt's first, Ovechkin's 26th, and Sotheby, the man front and center on your screen, with his 9th. During the 10-game losing skid, and then some, the Chicago Blackhawks have been outscored in this stretch 42-20. Matthew Barnaby, Trent Yarney, they all want to see this streak go away. The franchise high, 12 games back in 1950-51. For a Chicago team, a franchise that has not won the Stanley Cup since 1961, the longest active drought in the NHL business. 4 players aside, each team has earned a point in the standings, and now we have some fun. The Washington Capitals did not crack the Blackhawks penalty killing. All of their goals at even. Vandermeer snaking his way into the offensive zone. Met immediately by Hewitt. Zubris trying to pitchfork it free from out of that skate. Vandermeer worked over and badgered by Hewitt. Alexander Ovechkin full stride. Ovechkin not able to shake Spacek. Vandermeer comes hustling back, 3-on-3. Vandermeer fires, pad save, and the long side rebound almost hurt. Instead, it sends Ovechkin for a 2-on-2. Given a whack by Vandermeer, Brooks Laich joining the fray. Laich stepping to the deep slot. Eminger is there to gamble. Locker in overtime in one of these interconference games, East versus West. Do you expect both teams to go for broke?
Well, I expect Chicago Blackhawks in particular. They want to get off the snide and get off this 10-game losing streak, Joe. Early signs of that with their D jumping up to make it a 3-on-2. Look for them to really be aggressive offensively.
Brooks Laich channeled away by a coin. Bell sightseeing long enough to find Duncan Keith on the drop pass. Verbata challenged the blocker glove of Kolzig. And he shouldered that away. Into the second minute of sudden death. Scoreboard level at 3. Chicago in the black. And this is an offside. against the visiting Hawks.
I think the Hawks and Bell want to go for it. I mean, they had a 3-0 lead over the Washington Capitals. They're playing on the road. Why not go for it? They go home tomorrow night to face off against the Flyers. Try to get important 2 points here tonight against the Caps. And that, to me, would be what they'd want to do. They won't be settled, I don't think, and wouldn't like to settle with 1 point here.
Lopsided advantage for Washington in the face-off department. Blackhawks playing without Curtis Brown, playing without their best forward, the young Tuomo Ruutu. Long-term injury keeping him on the sidelines. A centering pass, deflection, score! It's over! Out of nowhere with Kyle Calder making a beeline to the post. The Blackhawks stream off the bench. They win this one by the final of 4-3.